This is Whiskey Whereabouts. I'm Tim, and this is the first flight in my annual blind flight competition to select the best of that year's Diageo Special Releases. This year I have 7 of the 8 special releases. I will explain, and today we're going to find out who moves forward from Group 1, including the number 1 seed overall. My whiskey journey has taken me to Scotland and back. I've explored whiskey education, tastings, and distilleries from Islay to Speyside. And now my journey continues here, with you, on Whiskey Whereabouts. I've got a set of sample bottles of each of the special releases except one, and I am going to have 2 blind flights. This is Group 1. I'm going to do 4 whiskeys today, and we're going to select a winner who's going to move on Monday, the second group. I will drop that video showing who advances, and then a week from today, we'll have the 2 winners face off, and I will pick what, in my opinion, based on these blind flights, is the best of the 2025 Diageo Special Releases. So if you're not familiar with the Diageo Special Releases, every fall they come out. It's usually a group of 8, and they are limited one-off releases, and they are cask strength, and they are all from different distilleries. It's not always the same distilleries. Diageo obviously has more than 8 distilleries. There's always a Lagavulin 12-year cask strength, almost always. So we've got 2 groups, and we're going to call them 2 different bowls. And the first bowl is the Kakaliki Bowl. And so let's figure out what's in our glasses here for today's blind flight. Starting with overall this year's series, the 25th edition of the Diageo Special Releases, started in 2001. They all have clever names for each of the whiskeys, and the series itself has a clever name. It's called Horizons Unbound, and the number 1 seed in the tournament is Daluaine, 21 year. It's called the Marbled Treasures. It's 54.3%. It's fully sherry matured whiskey, and this is the first time Daluaine's been in the special releases since 2015. It's been 10 years. This thing comes with a hefty price tag. I've seen it at $500. So very happy to be able to try this just on the basis of the sample, not have to take that plunge. If you don't know Daluaine, it's not like you're missing a bunch of whiskey that's out on the market. Most of Daluaine goes into blends. It is a Speyside whiskey distillery, but it's going for more sort of old-fashioned style of Speyside whiskey rather than the lighter kind of orchard fruity type of Speyside that we think of. Think Benrinnes, think Mortlach. They have a 16-year that comes out in the Flora and Fauna releases. That's usually, other than the special releases, the single malt release that you can get. Next seed in this group is going to be a 4 seed, Talisker 14-year. It's called the Molten Seas. It's 53.9%, and this is aged in American oak that has been toasted with the heat of volcanic rocks from Skye. Obviously, Talisker is on Skye. This is the first time that they have done this for Talisker. It seems like a sort of marketing thing. We had a whiskey last year that had rocks in the casks that were churned to batter the inside of it. It seems like it's more for hey, look what we did. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out what type of character we can discern from that process. This one's about $185. I've seen it and up. Next up, the 6 seed in the tournament overall, Roseisle, 14-year. It's called the Harmonic Grace. It's 55.9%. Roseisle, it was aged in refill and rejuvenated, likely bourbon cask. This is 2 years older than the Roseisle that was in the last 2 years. They were called the Origami Kite, and then last year the Origami Kite 2. And I don't want to sort of spoil too much, but I'll put a link up here to the final flight from last year, and I will just say that I enjoyed the Roseisle from last year, so I have pretty high expectations with this whiskey. Rejuvenated casks are something that I covered in a detailed video about unpopular casks, I would say. I'll put a link to that up here too if you want to go a little bit deeper on that. The 8 seed overall in the tournament is going to be the 4th whiskey in our flight today, and it is the most unusual whiskey in this year's special releases because it's rye, at least in part. So it's from Teaninich, and it is called the Daring Rye. It is an 8-year whiskey. This is single grain whiskey, but it's not rye whiskey. It's rye and barley mashed together. And so it's not single malt, but it is from this distillery, so it's single grain. And those grains, like I said, include the rye and the barley together. It's matured in ex-bourbon casks. Teaninich usually goes into blends. They have been distilling rye since 2016. That rye whiskey goes into a Johnny Walker from Diageo called High Rye. The only official release from this distillery, single malt, is another Flora and Fauna. It's 10-year. They all have little animals on the labels. The Flora and Fauna release there. There's is an orca. It's $100. Again, it's not single malt whiskey. So before we get in our flight, let's give a sneak preview into what is going to be in our glasses on Monday, early next week. It's going to be Group B, the Cullen Skink Bowl, and it would be the 2 seed in the tournament. Would be Clynelish 18 years. It's called Wax and Sun. It's 51.6% refill, bourbon casks, and some of the spirits from what they call the pineapple cut. They've been experimenting with an early cut during the distillation to find some tropical fruit notes. I don't have this whiskey. And I don't have it because nobody had it when these were initially launched. Apparently that whiskey, that bottle was late from Diageo. So the retailer who assembled the samples didn't have the 8th bottle. So I got a group of 7. And this is already a little late. These are already on shelves. So I've got to get this, these little videos out if they're going to be useful to you. If you're seeing these on shelves and want to know how they stack up and at least what I think of them, I want to get this out to you. So we're just going to go with the 7. And if you see that Clynelish, you're on your own. It's about a $250 18-year Clynelish cask strength. I'm sure it would have been very good to have it. It is frustrating that I don't, but it is not going to be part of our next group, unfortunately. I'm going to start here on what I'm going to call whiskey number 1. I don't know which one is which. You will. I'm going to start on the nose, go through, and start ranking these whiskeys. So starting here, nice rich sweetness, a toasted kind of caramel sweetness, maybe a marshmallow sweetness, and pretty inviting nose. That's on number 1. On number 2 now, more earthy, much less rich sweetness, and it is there's fruit, but it's a sort of overripeness almost. Yeah, there's a more of a rich vanilla toffee. Here on the third one, we got the most faint nose. Not really hot at all. Yeah, I'm really having to lean in. It's got almost like a coffee kind of ground, toasty kind of grain element. Not a lot of fruit in evidence there. And on the last of these noses, number 4. Oh, this is very interesting. This is an interesting nose. Oh yeah, it has my attention. There's a lot going on here. There's sweetness. There's fruit. There's earthiness. There's oak. It's got a bitter kind of coffee. It reminds me of some of those whiskeys that have like Amarone casks in it. Yeah, you got to really fight through all those richer elements at the bottom. There's an orchard fruity kind of pear maybe fruit element. A lot going on in terms of different sides of the flavor wheel. I'm gonna go back through here and I'm gonna rank these. Okay, so I'm ready to rate the noses, and I'm gonna say that the weakest nose, I'm gonna work up. So the weakest nose is gonna be this nose number 3. Then come back to these. Let them. Now they've been having plenty of time to open up. I'm sort of acclimated. Go back. I'm getting almost like a barbecue from this one. Almost like a barbecue rub or something. The next from the bottom is going to be number 2. This one's gone really pungently vegetal and green as it's sat. And I'm going to say it's number 1. Very nice nose, but this one is more complex. It's got more going on. I'm going to say that number 4 is the winner of the noses. So now, starting over here, we go through palates. And as you hold it, you start to feel the heat of it. Starts getting that sort of pepper, lively tingle on your tongue. So the heat's there. This one's got basically 2 layers. One is pretty pretty sweet. It's vanilla, but it's almost like cotton candy level sweet across the top of it. And underneath, there's something that's much more earthy. There's some cask, but it's much more green. It's really contrasting, so it's nice to sit with it and unpack those two. Get some water. On to number 2. Very sort of traditionally sort of chocolate, spice, sweet on the top, and then a not quite ripe kind of berry. It's a little tart. It's not sour. Offsetting it, which is nice. It doesn't feel like it has as much of a layers as this first one. On to number 3. It has a lot more cask. It has a lot more of that coffee kind of bitter. It has a pretty straightforward vanilla sweetness. I'm not getting the richness when I say depth, but I'm also not getting the variety of flavors on the palate here. Whiskey number 4 now. It's not as robust on the palate as the other 2 stages. It doesn't have the biggest mouthfeel. I think it's probably the first one. It's pretty hot, or it presents as such. I still have a lot of that pepper tingle kind of as I'm trying to talk to you. A lot of coffee, sort of mocha kind of coffee, chocolate kind of element, some cask here. Never goes too bitter. There's a nice underlying layer of sweetness that's preventing it from tipping over too much. And there's definitely a sour. I wouldn't say it's a citrus, but it's just probably a sour fruit element. Okay, on the palates now, starting at the bottom, I'm going to say number 3 again. Then I'm going to change it up. I'm going to say number 1 next. I like this, and it does have a really nice mouthfeel. This one has just a little bit more earthiness to it, and it gives it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to say this one, number 2, and I am going to say number 4. Holding on, much closer though than on the noses. Moving on to the finishes, starting over here. It's not a huge finish. It has heat, but the flavors sort of develop and play out before you really are done with that sort of experience of the sort of heat and the warmth in your chest and all that stuff. There's a real sort of casky element that sort of hits the sinus on this one, and I would say it's definitely a red fruit, a red sort of berry running through mixed up with some of the sweetness. On number 2, yeah, we don't have any Campbelltown whiskey here in our Diageo Special Releases, but if one of these had to go in a funky category, this one will be it. It's got a tropical fruit. It's got an overripeness, along with a chocolate sweet, little cask. Really upfront though with that element, that earthiness. Our whiskey number 3 now. Berry. There's something green. It really kind of blooms. It's the shortest of the finishes. It develops more into a more sort of traditional kind of sweet and cask kind of bitter element, but there's something to it. There's something unique. The final whiskey, and on the finish. Kind of coffee mixed with Tootsie Roll sweet again. It's got pepper, almost like a kind of burnt kind of element to it, like burnt coffee, and not in a bad way. In the mix, it's a big presence. It's a nice long finish. Even though I've been going back and forth on these, it's really announcing itself. And it has a sort of a tactile quality, you know. The finish still has mouthfeel, more so than I think the others. Okay, so ready to rank the finishes now from the bottom to the top. And I'm going to say the 3 is the weakest again. Then I'm going to say this is number 1. It's fine. It just doesn't distinguish itself. Number 2, it's not for everybody. Like I said, it's got an earthy kind of funkiness. I could see it really putting some people off, but it has a character. It's interesting. So I'm going to rank it above. And I'm going to say, obviously, this is the whiskey that I preferred out of this flight. Number 4 is the whiskey. So that makes this really pretty easy. There wasn't that much variance here. So going through the whiskeys, overall, from the weakest of the group, I rank whiskey number 3. And it is the Talisker, which is a little surprising to me. Just the way that it kind of was a little weak in the way that it sort of presented at several of the characters. There's nothing wrong with it, it just didn't have a presence. So that is the one I rank the lowest. Then it's going to be number 1. That's going to be the Roseisle, which I really enjoyed the Roseisle last year. This one was very solid, but it was having some trouble keeping up with the more distinct characters. And I think a different, you might choose these and rank these differently if you had these in front of you. This one's just more traditional. There's nothing wrong with it. So that means that the third place whiskey is number 2, and that is the Teaninich. So that is a very intriguing whiskey. It has that rye, and it has brought in a lot of earthiness is the way it's presenting to me. And again, I know, especially I hear from a lot of folks who Scotch whiskey people, especially in the UK, who don't care for rye whiskey, and I can absolutely see people being totally put off by this whiskey. And that means I have bad news, that the winner of this flight is the incredibly expensive 21-year whiskey. This Daluaine was just so rich. It had such a presence. This didn't happen last year. We had upsets, so we got a big 1 seed advanced to the final. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. Press this big button that's coming up over here, because we're just days away from the second group. It's got that Lagavulin. You're not going to miss that. See who's going to take on this whiskey a week from today, when I determine who the winner of the 2025 Diageo Special Releases, with the exception of Clynelish, is. You don't want to miss it. I will see you on the next one.